Hey Watchaholics, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be diving into the internet's reactions to Bridgerton Season 3 as a whole, part 1, part 2, everything, right? Guys, if you did not already know, I actually did a video just like this where I read the tweets of people's reactions to part 1. So I decided to do a part 2 now, or just like an overall just season thoughts. And actually, if you please, I highly recommend you stay to the end of this video, because at the end of the video, I'm going to give you my 2 cents on my thoughts, what I actually thought as a whole of the season. I also want to talk about the fact that this season is very divided. Y'all, it is so divided. If you are in the comments, you're in the comments for Shondaland, you're in the comments for Bridgerton on Netflix, or anywhere you are in the comments, there are so many people that are split in their thoughts of the season. You have people who absolutely loved it, and then you have the other group that absolutely was disappointed. I don't know if anyone hated it, but there was a lot of disappointment. And that is the thing that comes with such a big show like this, right? You cannot make everyone happy. There are going to be people disappointed. There are going to be people who didn't feel like they did the right choice. Felt like, there was too many side plots. There's so many ways to interpret this season. And that's the hard part about being in a show like this, or producing a show like this, or show running a show like this, is the expectations are going to be very high every single season. Since season 1, this show has really showed that it is a force to be reckoned with. It breaks records every season. People have their fandoms. You have their characters that they are in love with, that they are attached to. This show is also attached to a book fandom, which also brings in people, which also is going to bring in different thoughts and different opinions and hates and wants, etc. So the fact that this season, I think, has been more divided, I think, even than season 2. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't even remember season 2 and how crazy it was, because it was like over 2 years ago now, right? I was still kind of early in my YouTube world, right? But I really think that this season is the most divided. So let's get into reading some Twitter thoughts that people are having, and see what, the last 2 weeks, if people have changed their minds, if they still feel the same. Let's start. Let's do it. Okay. So what I do with this is I usually just type in Bridgerton season 3, and I'll read the top most popular comments, and we'll do this for a little bit. And then we're going to do the threads section of Instagram, because that's also like a little bit of a Twitter. I kind of read that every night before bed to see what people are thinking. And that's when I get ideas to be like, oh, that should be a fun video, right? But okay, let's do this first one here. Okay, it says, I've watched Bridgerton season 3 more times than I'd like to admit, and this scene gets me every time. It's subtle and easy to miss. Colin was looking for Penelope as soon as he was home. And if you haven't watched with audio description on, I highly recommend it. It gives a whole new perspective to the whole season. I'm probably going to go back and watch other seasons with it too. #Colin. Oh, I never noticed that. Did you notice that? But now that I'm thinking back to that first episode, there is that moment where you see him look across the street, and you see Penelope's there, but he doesn't know that Penelope's there. But I guess it does give that moment that he's like, oh man, I can't wait to see Pen. Like, that's her house over there. Like, how is she? I can't wait to see her and talk to her about my travels and talk to her. A very good observation. I actually didn't notice. I noticed that he looked, but at first I thought I thought he saw her, and then he was like, oh, maybe I didn't. At first I thought that's kind of what it was. I mean, unless it was, but what this person is saying, I kind of agree with. It's kind of more of he's kind of looking to her house, oh, I can't wait to see Pen. That's great. That's a really nice observation for sure. And by the way, this, usually the way I do this is very whatever comes up, I kind of read. It's not in order of episodes or anything like that. It's kind of just, tweets that kind of really I feel like talking about. I kind of will just put them on here and we can discuss them. And then of course you guys in the comments, please just sound off on what you feel. There is no hate, whether you liked or did not like this season. There's no hate on this channel. Spoilers for Bridgerton season 3. At the end of the last episode, was I the only one confused as to why Lord Kilmarin's cousin had no idea who Francesca was? A, shouldn't he have already told her all about Francesca? And B, as she's in there traveling, wouldn't it have been made sense for her to put 2 and 2 together? The interaction felt super odd to me. I have to agree. In a way, I did find it weird that they had already been married for at least I mean, I don't know how long it had been, but like, how come she didn't know who she was? I did find that very odd, and I think it's because they wanted to really sell the idea that she's not supposed to, so that Francesca could have her like, oh my god, I can't speak moment, because she is so, loved at first sight kind of thing with Francesca. Which this, of course, is going to lead me to talk a little bit about the whole Francesca divide that is going on right now in the fandom, right? You have book readers that are extremely upset that they have changed the whole story here, that it seems like it's going to be a very different take on Francesca's story than it is in the book. Because Francesca, spoiler, yes, alert, if you don't want to know, please skip a couple of minutes here, but basically in the book, from what I have read and from the grapevine read, is that Francesca falls in love with John, like deeply falls in love with him until he does die. I think he like dies of an aneurysm or something, but he dies. And then his cousin, Michael, kind of takes over the state, and he has been in love with Francesca for like since he saw her, but she only had eyes for John. Like John was her guy, right? And then Michael comes into the story, and it becomes their love story. And I believe there's things about infertility as well in her story, and a lot of people who love her story wanted to see that. And our showrunner, Jess Brownell, something like that, I believe, we're just going to just B, has decided that she ain't going to make Michael. She's going to make Michael Michaela. And that has gotten people up in a tiffy. People are really upset about it. And my stand on the matter is I'm just going to go with the flow at this point. I'm just going to see what happens. I'm not a book reader, so I don't have that attachment to it. But I understand why people would be upset about it, though. Like that is true. That I do agree. I do agree that people who are fandoms and wanted their book to be, come to life, I can understand that being really upsetting if it's your favorite book, and then now it's just going to be a completely different sex. How are they going to handle the infertility thing? If and also at this point, I don't really know if they are saying that that Francesca is bisexual or is she gay. Like, I don't know which one she is. But yeah, a lot of people really upset. But going back to this tweet, I do feel that it was a little bit weird that Michaela didn't know who she was. I did find that kind of odd, and I think they just kind of wanted to set it up for her. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I don't know kind of what I don't know which way they're kind of wanting to go with this in regards to Francesca really setting up her story in season 3. Like, is her season going to be season 5? Is it going to be Eloise? Like, I don't know, because I'm pretty sure Benedict is can't talk, season 4. So the fact that they've like really set her up since season 3, I don't know. I don't know where we're going with this, but I guess we shall see. And also we shall definitely see if they decide that they're just going to continue on with this. Like, they're like, no, we're going strong with the story that we have decided, or if they're going to listen to the fandom and be like, oh, maybe we made the wrong choice. Maybe we should just make them happy. I don't know. At the end of the day, not everyone does that, but it has happened in the past where people have, fandomed hard enough that the people on the other side have been like, all right, let's bring it back in and see what we can do to like fix it in a way. Someone wrote, this is officially my final review of Bridgerton Season 3. They gave it a 9 out of 10. Part 1, loved. Part 2, liked. Lots of part that I loved. If you remove their BS statements from Netflix, I'm completely confused. The trash fire of events after the press tour and watch it from start to finish, it is extremely enjoyable and I'd say my favorite season. Do I personally think it needed more episodes? Yes. I would have liked more Colin scenes? Yes. Colin's story arc could have gotten a bit more love? Yes. But overall, it's a beautiful love story and I'm happy. Okay, this actually is, I'm not gonna lie, kind of how I feel about the season. This person and I, we are on the same wavelength. That's what she said. Do I personally think it needed more episodes? Yes. I would have liked more Colin scenes. Yes. Colin's story arc could have gotten a bit more love. Yes. I completely agree. Overall, as a season, I am happy with it. Unlike many others, as a season, I am happy with it. But I do think, and I'm going to continue to say this, please, Netflix, Bridgerton people, whoever is in charge of this, please, for the love of God, give us 10 episodes. 10 episodes is all we need. If you guys had 10 episodes to really, really dive into these stories, it would be perfect. It would be perfect. I think this season could have had 2 more episodes, and it would have given us everything what we wanted. It would have given us more arc for Colin to all of a sudden then be like, for him to get to the whole point of being like, okay, I accept Lady Whistledown. I understand it. It would have given us more of that instead of it being a little bit rushed. Because I do agree. I felt like his turnaround to be like, okay, I support my wife was a little bit quick for me. Still loved it, but I'm happy, obviously. But I do think it was a bit quick. It was like he read her letters and then it was like, okay, I support you. I'm like, okay, wait, rewind, right? Of course, I would love to see more romantic scenes with them. Just a little bit more. And yeah, more episodes so that these other side plots, I guess, could live a little bit better, or they just give us more just pollen, just straight up pollen, because please don't give me more Benedict having sex and having threesomes and hooking up with women. I really don't give a fuck about that. And it has nothing to do with him being bisexual, so don't be like, oh, is it a bisexual thing? No. It's more of a Benedict, what have you been doing for the last 3 seasons? But don't worry, we'll get into that at the end of this episode because I am passionate about my Benedict. I'm passionate about that story. Swoon-worthy quote from Bridgerton season 3. Yes, I finished the whole season in 2 nights. How lucky am I to stand by your side and soak up even a little bit of your light? If my only purpose in life is to love a woman as great as you are, then I will be a very fulfilled man indeed. Colin's, I'm assuming this is supposed to be Colin's love declaration. I know in an interview that was what they were doing before part 2 came out, and Nicola was saying oh, you thought his love declaration was the one in the carriage. No, it's not. You're not there yet. His love declaration is beautiful. Now, do I think that this love declaration is amazing? Yes. It's beautiful. I love it. Soak up your light, being there for each other. I absolutely love it. Chef's kiss. And the way Mr. Luke Newton delivered it was absolutely perfect. They both were kind of crying. It was so sweet. And I think as actors, you really saw them, really, really, really sink into that scene. And it was beautiful to watch. I still love Anthony's declaration of love in season 2 at the end a little bit more, but again, I'm just a little bit biased. I'm so sorry. I'm so biased to season 2. Season 2 still to me is my favorite. I stand to season 2. Don't you dare come for me in the comments about season 2 not being good, because season 2 to me is superior. This was not able, unfortunately, to knock it down off its pedestal for me, but it's very close. I do think this season was extremely romantic, and Colin's love declaration, I did think it was beautiful and romantic and suited this love story so wonderfully well. And how he had his little come around moment, from this is your fault, you entrapped me, all these horrible things he kind of said to her when he found out, which I knew was going to happen. By the way, if you haven't watched my season 7 episode reaction, go check that out. It's a really great reaction because boy, oh boy, I loved that wedding. Bridgerton season 3 done and dusted now. I loved the final episode so much. It was tied up nicely. Except for Cressida? Oh well, just 2 years to wait for series 4. Gentle readers, how will we do it? Ha ha ha. Agreed. Cressida. So what happened to Cressida? She just got sent away. Again, the Cressida thing, I know it's a huge thing in the books, but I hated it. I hated Cressida's arc or whatever. If it's done, I don't even know. Because it felt like part 1 and part 2 gave me 2 very distinct arcs for me. I really thought that the way season 1 part 1 was going was that she was going to have a redemption arc and she was going to end up being a good person, but in the end she still was the villain and nothing good happened to her in the end. Now, do I think that she had the she could have been good and she could have had that arc? Yes, and I actually would have liked it because she did have some really beautiful moments where I actually really felt for Cressida. I was very much of oh man, like I feel for her. Like they're making her marry this like old, disgusting old man who wants to have 4 kids and won't let her go to balls and won't let her have listen to music and all this stuff. Like, and I was very sad for her. But then the moment she just decided she wanted to be Lady Whistledown and she was doing everything in her power to do it, like I understand it. But I hated that nobody else was there to support her and like help her get out of it. Instead, all she did was then just be like, okay, well, I'm going to blackmail Penelope. Okay, you're going to blackmail Penelope. Okay, all right, great. I don't know. I didn't really like it for Cressida. I would have liked if she just stayed a bitch in the ton and that was it. But I understand, I guess she is, in the book, I think she's a focal part. But I find it so interesting, and now I'm saying it out loud, I find it so interesting that there's certain things that they're like, no, we must keep in the book. Because in the book, she was, okay, well, if you want to keep to the book, then why aren't you keeping people with the people they're supposed to be with? AKA Francesca and her having just her love story. Like, why do we got to turn it and make it, like, oh, okay, now it makes me just talk about the whole queer representation thing, which I understand. It's beautiful to see. It's great. But also this is an adaptation of a book. If you want to have more queer stories, then create your own story that is not based on something else already. If you want to make a story about a couple like this in this time period, then create it on your own. But the fact that they're taking an adaptation of a book and then changing it to make it queer and do whatever they want, then it's no longer what the book was. And yes, it's an adaptation. Yes, I understand that. But it's a very strong fandom that has lots of books that's just, it's the period, the things that, Julie Quinn was writing was for a reason. And if you're going to change that just because you're like, well, we need queer representation. Yes, we do. And we've gotten so much great queer representation on our TVs these days, which I absolutely love. I'm rewatching Heartstopper right now. I love that show. Talk about representation in all forms of life on that show. And it's done so extremely well. If they wanted to make a story like that for Francesca, then just have another show. Create another story on your own and make the story that you really want to do. That's my rant. Okay. Again, it has nothing to do with queer representation on shows. It is not like, I don't want to see this homophobic. I'm not homophobic. I'm not like, oh my God, there's like, they're gay. I don't want to see that on my screen. No. It has nothing to do with that. Not to do with that. Here's one. Bridgerton season 3 was very disappointing, and I'm still irritated that they made us wait for a month for such a lackluster writing. Why are we getting unnecessary throuple love scenes that further no plot in place of Colin and Penelope? Why are we more focused on anyone else's story in place of Colin and Penelope? I feel like we get more Cressida Cowper than we did Pollen. There was so much potential with this season, and then don't get me wrong, I did enjoy some of it, but overall I was let down. Okay. I see what this person's saying. I kind of agree in certain aspects. Yes, we got much more Cressida Cowper that I can give two shits about. Yeah, the throuple love scenes. We saw more Benedict having sex than we did Colin and Penelope. Not that is a selling feature for me. We got the mirror scene. We got the carriage scene. They were both beautiful in their own right. They were done great. I liked them. The carriage scene I liked much more than the mirror scene, though. The mirror scene was beautiful, but I did feel very like, oh God, I'm watching two people on this. Should it be private? Like, I don't know. I just felt like it was very, very intimate. Beautiful, beautifully done, beautifully shown, beautifully shot. Loved it. But at the same time, I think I liked more of the build and the anticipation of them finally getting together in the carriage scene. That to me was everything. It was sexy. It was sexy. It was romantic. It was steamy. It was like everything. It was passionate. It was loving. It gave me everything that I wanted for these characters. But yeah, I did not need to see fucking Benedict again. Here we're talking about Benedict again. Kissing Lady Tilly and this other guy and having threesomes. Like, I really didn't care. Really didn't care. You have fucking Lady Whistledown. You have Penelope stressed out of her life, and then it just cuts to Benedict and Lady Tilly and that other guy just making out on a bed. I was like, do we need it? Do we? But do we need it? No. The most romantic thing to come out of Bridgerton season 3, Anthony asking Kate to have their child in India so he can learn about her culture and understand how to teach it to their child. Sobbed for a solid 10 minutes after that one. Agreed. I thought what they did with Anthony and Kate this season, I personally really liked it. I liked that they were both involved in everything. Even though they weren't in every episode, we still got them as a couple, and we love them. And Anthony to us is everything. Like I mean, to the fandom, to most of us at least, most of the fandom is everything. We are very protective of Anthony. And I'm very glad that we got to actually see a lot of them together in this season. We got to see Kate step up as, the Viscountess. We really got that, and I really enjoyed that moment. I enjoyed seeing Anthony in his lover boy, living on Kate era. Man is always with her, always on top of her, but he is also just such an amazing man. Oh my God, when he said like, hey, let's go to India and have our baby. Like, I want to teach him, like I want to understand your culture. I said, yes. Can we talk about how this man was effing some opera singer 2 seasons ago? Character growth. We're still seeing character growth in Anthony and in this couple, and even getting to learn more about them, getting to see them interact as a married couple now. Still seeing like Anthony like still trying to like obsess over little things, and Kate literally is like, honey, focus, we are happy, everything's great. It's oh my God, like those moments were absolutely wonderful. The moment when they were in the coming back home, and he's just like he's like shouting in the carriage, like it was, I mean, to me that was just pure on Jonathan Bailey, who is just seems like such a dork, and I absolutely love him. I love that man. Like in another life, in another world, that man is my husband. I love him so much. I love him. Oh my God, I love him so much. Great actor. Such a fantastic actor too. I can't wait to see him like continue to do things. I literally cannot wait. I cannot wait to see him to take the world by storm, which also brings me up to something I was thinking about today in the car that I want to mention to you guys is Tell Me Not. So we have Luke and Nicola, who have also just killed this season, like in a great way. Absolutely smashed it. The press tour made people obsessed with them. So my idea is like, who out there right now is writing a script for these two to be in a modern rom-com together? Because I will be there watching it, whether it's in the movie theater, whether it's on Netflix, whether it's on freaking Amazon Prime. I don't care where the hell it is, but I want to see these two in more things together. Let's cast them. Okay? Because they are so good. They have such good chemistry. And I never thought I'd say it because I'm always thinking back to that reaction I had to the trailer and how I was really not sure if I saw the chemistry, and this season really like blew it out of the water. Seeing them on press tour together, they were just so cute. They were really selling the we are in love and people really wanting them to be together in real life, which unfortunately they are not. Sir Luke Newton is dating a dancer from Bridgerton, so at least I think it seems that way. So yeah, but they were really like trying to keep people on their toes as to like, ooh, are they together? Like they're always holding hands. Oh my God, the fan edits we have seen of freaking Luke holding Nicola's hand all the time during press, which I think is really much more of like a friendship. Like, hey, I'm nervous, hold my hand. Like we got this. Like you're my girl, I got you. Like and vice versa. It's definitely like a friendship. If they dated later on in life and they decide that they're married, by all means, we would all be happy. But I understand like they also are on a press tour. And if they're on a press tour, they really got to sell the fact that they are like in love, and people really thought they were in love with each other. So I do think they are in love in friendship, but not in love in like relationship in that way. But I want to see them in a freaking rom-com, modern rom-com right now, just them live. I will live. So let's see them in let's see them in a movie together. I'm ready. Put them in a movie. Ooh, this is a good one. Unpopular opinion. Splitting Bridgerton season 3 into two parts was the right move. Even though it annoyed viewers, it gave people the chance to catch up, enjoy the memes, videos, and commentary together, and sustain excitement for part 2. Had both parts dropped together, we would probably be over it by now. I've personally enjoyed the collective Bridgerton water cooler moment that has been going on since part 1 dropped. True. I see. I did not like the whole two-part thing. I still don't like it. Like, I understand that they're doing it because they do want to keep the ratings up. They want to keep people like in this like sense of excitement, sense of an anxiety, sense of like, oh my God, watching the first part over and over and over again until they watch part 2 and then watching the whole thing together. It definitely gives more viewership to Netflix and to the show, which I know they've already broken records of the last season. They know what they're doing. But to me, part 1 and part 2 felt almost like two different seasons. It felt like part 1 was one season and part 2 was a completely different one. Like, they did not seem the same whatsoever. But then I also think it's like, if you watch it full through and you were watching episode 4 and 5, you'd be like, oh my God, they just had this hot, sexy moment in the carriage. And then it's like episode 5, it's like, now we're going to go up away, right? Like, there would be kind of no like buffer. Now, granted, I need to sit down again and watch the whole thing through. I haven't done that yet and see kind of how I feel. But when I'm thinking of it back, that's kind of what I think. I'm like, okay, well, would it feel like too fast? Because episode 4 was when they kind of like, diddled a little bit. And then episode 5, it's like, oh, now we're doing the whole thing. I don't know. If you've watched the whole season as a whole, let me know if as a whole, does it feel like still completely different seasons? Does it feel weird to have the episode 4 and 5 back to back? Let me know in a comment below. Ooh, this is a good one. Okay. The thing about Bridgerton season 3 is that we didn't get enough of Colin and Penelope actually being friends while being in love. I just craved more of those small moments of connection from them that I didn't see. Also, Colin wasn't yearning enough for her. Where's the passion? Ooh. Okay. All right, let me think about this. I don't know if I agree, but I don't disagree either about us getting enough of them being friends. I guess because we've seen them being friends for like 2.5 seasons, kind of. I think they kind of were like, oh, but obviously like they couldn't really be friends because he was pissed at her for most of the second part. He was like pissed at her, right? So when were we really going to get the being friends part in that regard? The whole thing about Colin yearning enough for her, that to me I think is more of like an overall season thing. Not that Luke Newton didn't do a good job, because he did a fabulous job. I think I would have liked a little bit more scenes of him yearning for her. I mean, especially in the second part, right? Because we have the second part when he finds out that she's Lady Whistledown, right? And he is pissed at her. And obviously he's pissed at her, but he still loves her. He still is like, no, I want to marry her. Like, I love her. The moment that, she said, where's the passion? The moment that I really, really liked was actually in episode 7 when they had that little moment in the square where she tells him that she loves him and he gets very turned on by that, and they like start making out, and then then that carriage comes and it kind of ruins the moment the like night before the wedding, right? That to me, that scene is one of my favorites, hands down, of all of Bridgerton. It brings me life. It gives me everything. It gives me like yearning, it gives me passion, it gives me anger, it gives me love, it gives me everything in that one moment. And I loved it. I love that Colin called her out. He's like, what were you thinking when you wrote all these things? And I love that she threw it back at him. I loved it. I loved that Penelope didn't just like give into it, like, oh, I'm just gonna be apologizing forever. Like, she stood up for why she did what she did. She apologized for it. Obviously, she knows she should have done things differently, but she loves him. And I'm glad that she tells him that. She's like, I love you. Like, but it doesn't mean that I want to get rid of Lady Whistledown. She is me. Like, and I love when she stands up to him. Every time she stood up to him this season, it really just gave me everything. It gave me everything that I wanted from Penelope all of these years, watching her on screen and seeing her character develop. I personally just loved that. And then we got that yearning, that passion in that moment. Oh, I loved it. I would have the scene, oh my God, people talk about this. I wish the tweet came up for it. Maybe it will later. But there is like the missed opportunity they had, and people have been talking about it, was the missed opportunity they had when, where was it? Oh, Colin goes in. I think, is it the wedding night? I think it's the wedding night. I think. Why am I blanking? Oh, the sheets and the pillow from the room. And he walks in and he sees Pen's like dress kind of like down. And he's like looking at her like he wants to just go over there and just like kiss her so bad. And oh my God, it was such a missed opportunity for a like beautiful moment between them. Not that they had to like go and have sex and all of this stuff. Like, not that I needed that, but it would have been so nice to see them have another conversation where Penelope, which I hear is in the book, which I think Colin says, or she says, I forget, somebody says stay. And I would have loved if that moment, you know, Penelope was like, no, don't go. Like, stay here with me. Like, please. Like, you know, like something to make him be like more of that kind of tug of war with himself, because he kind of was just looking at her and then he's like, no, I'm gonna leave, and then he leaves, right? But I would have loved if she kind of stopped him and you had that moment where she like maybe like touches him or grabs him or kisses him, and then he's like, no, I can't do this, I can't, and then he walks away, right? Like, I would have loved to see something like that. But we didn't get it, and it was, to me, it was a waste opportunity. Missed opportunity. I must say, I think it was a missed opportunity for sure. Someone wrote, well, now that we all recovered, Bridgerton season 3 was mid AF. Ooh, mid. Yikes, mid tier. Ooh, I wouldn't say it was mid AF. I would definitely say it's, I think in my ratings right now, I think I'm going to put it in, I need to watch Queen Charlotte again because I haven't seen it in a hot minute. It's between Queen Charlotte and Bridgerton story and season 3 being after season 2, but I don't know where it lies just yet. I'm not sure. Watched Bridgerton season 3. What the fuck was that? So underwhelming. The writing was not it. I don't know. Did they forget what Bridgerton is? Who Lady Whistledown is? Oh my God. So disappointing. Ooh. Well, this person did not like, I think on Threads, seems like we've got more people kind of really saying their thoughts about how they did not like season 3. I don't think it was underwhelming. The one thing that I'm really intrigued to see what they do next is understanding like what happens to Lady Whistledown now, because everyone knows that it's Penelope, right? So like, what happens to the intrigue? What happens to the gossip? Not really sure. I'm like, is it just dead? Do we not hear Julie Andrews anymore? Is it now Penelope forever? What's going on with that? Is she just writing her own column, but she writes about like women's rights or something? Like, what is going to be Lady Whistledown now? I don't know. Because also in the book, let me know in a comment below, in the book, what is it? Is she like, you know, does she give up Lady Whistledown after Colin finds out? Does she continue Lady Whistledown? What does it become after, you know, she's found out? It's just a question. I think also in the book there is no Queen Charlotte, so I think it really changes everything here. But one thing that I did think was interesting, it was, and this is something I've been thinking for the whole 3 seasons, right, is, you know, Queen Charlotte wanting to find out who is Lady Whistledown, and I'm like, okay, well, when you find out, what are you going to do? Are you going to kill her? Like, she's like, I must take her down. I was like, okay, but one, then you're going to be bored, because what are you going to be doing if there's no gossip and things to keep you on your toes? And 2, what are you going to do, kill her because she wrote something? Like, I don't know, like, what was going to be her plan? Which I love that Lady Danbury did bring up at whatever, I think it was the beginning of episode 8, I think it was, you know, her bringing up like, okay, well, once you do find her, what are you going to do? We all love gossip. Like, what are you going to do with your life once you track out who she is? And she was like, something to think about. And it made me think, I wondered if at that point Lady Danbury had already figured out that Penelope was Lady Whistledown, because later on in the end of the episode we do find out that Lady Danbury kind of like put it together. She was like, oh, well, I knew it wasn't a Bridgerton, but I thought, who else loved a Bridgerton as much? And she knew it was going to be her. So I wonder if in that moment when she's talking to Queen Charlotte, if she kind of is like, yeah, I'm trying to kind of protect Penelope. I wonder. Something really off with season someone said here, something really off with season 3. I don't get Colin's character most of the time. So many things are just credible about the storyline. Hope Eloise and Francesca's seasons will make me enjoy this show again. Oh my. Well, I mean, I do think they dropped the ball on Colin's character. I do. And I will gladly say it on this channel, Colin has never been one of my favorite characters. I always thought he was kind of boring. I kind of was never really interested in him. I was kind of like, okay. And I just knew that Penelope was in love with him. It was like, okay, Penelope, for whatever reason, is in love with this man. Yes, he's kind and caring, which is what she clearly really loves about him. But I do think they kind of dropped the ball. I know his writing is very important in the book. They didn't really focus on that really at all. Like very little. You kind of see him writing. You kind of see him talk to Penelope about it, but that's like kind of the surface level of it. You don't really see more of that moment. So, yeah. I do think they kind of dropped the ball on his character a little bit, but I really loved his scenes with Penelope. I really did. I think they were just so cute and they did so well. They did so well. I'm watching the end of episode 8 of season 3 of Bridgerton, and my favorite part of the season is seeing Penelope being supported by her mom and the two of them developing a relationship. Yes! Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you, because I feel like people have not been talking about this enough. I truly believe that was one of my favorite parts of the season, which I never thought I would say because I always just did not really give a fuck about the Featheringtons. I was kind of like, all right, side plots, don't really care. But I truly, really liked the relationship progression relationship arc that Penelope had with her mom and her sisters and by the end of the season, which I think was I think it was kind of a way of being like, okay, this is the end, I think, of possibly seeing these characters again. Like, I don't think we'll see the sisters possibly more or maybe a little bit, but not as much as we normally did. The mom, maybe with Portia, I'm not sure if we'll see her again either, but I did love that we really saw an arc of that. I truly loved the not the reveal, but the slow kind of peeling back of the onions of the mom and really realizing like why she was taking care of her daughters the way she was and how everything she did was to protect them and for them to have a better life than she did. Because that conversation she has with Penelope when she talks about women not having dreams and that they have husbands and how, you know, all she's ever done was to protect them and so that they could have a better life than she did. That's when my thing flipped. I was just like, okay, I get Portia now. Before I just thought she was just like this mom who just like was just like a bad mom, but I understood like why she was the way she was, and then also starting to see the parallels of how Portia and Penelope were very similar, and them also realizing it and coming together. Her flipping the switch and being like, you know what, maybe I should, you know, care about my daughter more and notice her more and care for her in a different way, and I loved that. I really did. By the end, I love the way that arc from season 1 to season 3 really got there. And I don't think people are talking about it enough. I really don't. Because I think it was that part of the story was written very well. In my opinion. Season 3 of Bridgerton honestly has my favorite ending to a season. Okay, well, that's different. Favorite ending to a season. I'm trying to compare it to like the other endings. It was very similar. Like the last 15 minutes of when they get together, very similar to season 2. You know, they have their love declaration. It shows them kind of in a happy little moment of bliss, and then the end of it. I think the last kiss in front of the window where Penelope will always look at Colin, that was something I missed, and I'm so mad that I missed it, and somebody pointed it out after. I was like, oh my God, that makes perfect sense. I loved that ending for them. You know, they have their baby, they kiss in front of that, and it's like that zoom in, which is also that same kind of zoom in that we got with Kate and Anthony at the end of season 2, you know, with the family playing Pall Mall. Like that was, I love that ending for season 2, and I did think that season 3 was very similar. That was very different to season 1. I will say season 1 was not ending like that at all. So I did think this was a very it was a beautiful ending of them kissing in front of the window. I think that was a little tie, a little bow. I was like, oh, smart, you smart. I see what you guys did there. I see it now. Rumors of deleted sex scenes between Colin, Penelope, and Bridgerton season 3 have made their way to one of the show's producers, and he's setting the record straight. Oh yeah, that's a big thing. Someone started a rumor. I don't know who started it. I don't know where it came from, but because people were upset that we didn't get much more pollen and much more sexy scenes between them, people said that they were deleted scenes. But Nicola and Tom Verick, I believe, have come out and said that that is incorrect. They said that nope, that there are no more scenes. Like what you saw is what we filmed, and I mean it was crazy. Like, people actually created like a petition, being like, show us the deleted scenes. Show us the deleted scenes. I'm like, the fact that someone actually started a petition, you know that this show has chokehold on people. Like, I'm sorry, what? We're doing a petition to get deleted scenes of a TV show because we weren't happy that we didn't get enough sexy scenes? What? I mean, I've always said on this channel, I don't care about the sexy stuff. Like, yeah, it's great, but I want more character stuff. I want more romance. That is where they will get me. That is where I am all about it. I am just like, oh, the goosebumps. Oh my god, I love. So if there were more scenes of them, yes, give it to me. But the fact that you created scenes, or the fact that people are upset that they didn't get more like spicy scenes, and okay, I can kind of understand why people feel like that, because they really did hype the season up about it being much more sexy, a lot more sex in this season compared to season 2, which didn't really have. But I think season 1 still beats everyone to this day. I think season 1 had the most sexy time than any of the seasons, and I'm fine. I am perfectly fine with the sexy that we got here. I would have just liked more Colin and Penelope scenes just together, just more romance. I would have been happy with that. Like, just more conversation, more development between the characters. I would have liked that more than anything. But anyway, okay, so I'm going to end it there with talking about going through these reads. Found some really great ones. I mean, it might be like at this point, people kind of just stop talking about it because I'm not seeing as much as I thought I would. But regardless, I told you I was going to tell you what my overall thoughts of the season were. Now, by this point, you might already kind of know how I feel. But overall, this season, I did generally really like it. Like I said before, it is not my favorite. Season 2 is still top tier to me. Nothing has dropped that yet. But I think this is very, very close to either being second or being third. I think it's more closer to being second, even though Queen Charlotte is so good. Oh my God, Queen Charlotte is so good. And Queen Charlotte just literally focused on King George and Queen Charlotte, which was really great to focus on the main couple compared to this one where there was too many side plots. But overall, generally speaking, I think what made this season really good for me was the friends to lovers arc. I loved seeing Colin and Penelope finally get together. I loved seeing these characters, these actors really just shine. And someone said they understood the assignment. I agree. They definitely did. They knocked it out of the park in my book. Did it have way too many subplots? Absolutely. The Mondrick fucking storyline did not need to exist. It did not need to exist. It literally didn't even need to be there. It didn't need to be there. To me, it is the one that really wasted my time. Why would you set up all of season 1, this huge thing? Oh my God, they're rich now. Oh, he has to get rid of his bar. I don't want to give up his bar. Then we're in part 2. He's like, I'm giving up my club. Waste of time. I do not care. I did not care even a little bit. I pisses me off because we could have gotten so much more Colin or anybody else for that matter. Just wasn't necessary. The whole Cressida thing, I talked about it, hated it, didn't like it. The whole Benedict thing, didn't like it. What was the point? What I did like, I loved Lady Violet finding love again, or finding someone. Not necessarily finding love because we don't know, but I liked that she had something. I loved the Lady Danbury with her brother. I think that was a really nice development. We learned much more about her character. I liked it. And I also don't think they spent too much time on it. I think they spent just the right amount of time on that storyline. Canthony, absolutely loved. Please continue to bring them back every season, even though Sir Jonathan Bailey is so extremely busy, that man is so busy. I don't know if you heard, but he's going to be in Richard III on Broadway I think on the West End, I believe, from February to like May or April of next year. Man is busy. He is filming Jurassic Park as we speak. I don't know if he's gonna have time to go and film Bridgerton in between, because I'm pretty sure I think they've started filming. I'm not sure. So hopefully we get them. Eloise we've barely spoken about Eloise this season. Kind of annoyed me at first. I was very annoyed with her. But then at the second half, I think she came around, and I liked that they finally became friends again, and we got over that. And now she's going to go and develop herself more by going to Germany and getting out of this town. It's kind of like when somebody grows up in a small town, they're like, I need to go out and see the world and like experience life. So I'm glad she's having that moment. Benedict, again, do not care about the threesome scene, so whatever. But it was very clear at the end of the season that he is, to me, I think it was pretty clear that he's going to be season 4 lead, because they did have that little moment where Eloise says like, oh, well, don't worry, I'll be back for the masquerade ball. And he says, I'll be there with my masquerade on. And that's where he meets Sophie. So I'm pretty sure he is season 4. And then also the way that, Lady Whistledown, aka Penelope Bridgerton, writes in her thing in the pamphlet is that, whatever the future may hold, and it's just looking at Benedict. I'm like, okay, all right, y'all are throwing a lot of hints that it's going to be him. So I better see an announcement soon that it's him, because I'm pretty sure we're going to be waiting here until 2026 until we get another season. So Lord have mercy. Let's hold on tight, because it's going to be a long wait. Gonna be a long wait, and if y'all gonna make me wait, give me 10 episodes. I will die on a hill saying that this show needs 10 episodes. It needs 10 episodes, and that is it. Just give me 10 episodes, because the fact that you guys are writing 8 episodes and then you're cramming in all this shit and making us wait 2 years, no. Give me 10 episodes. If you're gonna make me wait 2 years, give me 10 damn episodes. Netflix, Bridgerton, Shondaland. 10 episodes. That's all I ask. 10 episodes. All right. And then last but not least, I did Francesca's story. I did like her story overall. I just do feel that they kind of might have dropped the ball, because they set it up to be so much that Francesca was going to have a different kind of love than, Lady Violet, and then to have it kind of come around that no, she's going to have a kind of like a very similar kind of love story again. I was like, oh, so all of that was kind of a waste then. You made it seem like she was going to be really in love with this love the way that she did. Like the way she found love was very different to everybody else. They were really, really, really just digging into that. That's what's going to be her. And then they just kind of flipped it in the end. I don't really like that aspect. But I am intrigued to see what happens in her story once we get there, whenever that is. And last but not least, let's talk about the music in this season. I did like the music that we got. You Belong With Me on the wedding dance. That really just gave me all life. I absolutely loved it. It was just the cutest, sweetest dance ever. They were so sweet. I'm so happy we finally got like a really good dance between them. Obviously, Give Me Everything is still up there. I did love Cheap Thrills in part 1. What else did I like? I think part 1 had better music than part 2 did. Like, my favorite song of part 2 was the You Belong With Me, which, by the way, before I get off here, I have one thing. Didn't Tori Kelly write a song for this that was called All I Want that was going to be instrumental? Did they change it last minute? Like, what the hell happened? Because that was like a thing, and they did not play the song. At least, I don't think they did. Did I miss it? I don't think they played it throughout the whole season or the whole second part. So I don't know what happened there. If you know, comment down below. Give me the tea if you know it, because I'm pretty sure Tori Kelly was supposed to have a song called All I Want on this part 2. So just saying. Something is a little fishy in my book there. But anyway, guys, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed, please click that subscribe button. And guys, thanks for being here, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.